Eckhart Tolle's perspective on manifestation. Eckhart Tolle, in his teachings, speaks about two fundamental ways of manifesting desires. One arises from the ego, driven by a sense of neediness, where a person attempts to create from a place of lack. The other arises from presence, the state of being deeply rooted in the now, where manifestation emerges from a place of fullness, peace, and inner clarity. Tolle describes the egoic manifestation process as one deeply embedded in stress, anxiety, and tension. The ego often seeks external validation and external goods as a way to fulfill its deep-seated sense of incompleteness. This form of manifestation is driven by a sense of lack, where the individual believes that acquiring something outside of themselves will lead to their fulfillment. This desire is never truly satisfied, for the ego always wants more, creating a continuous cycle of craving and dissatisfaction. On the other hand, manifesting from presence involves a profound shift. Presence, as Tolle explains, is the stillness that emerges when we detach from the incessant chatter of the mind. It is that state of inner peace where we are no longer identified with the ego and its desires. When we manifest from this place, we do not create to get something, but to give, to express, to contribute, to serve, and to be part of something much greater than ourselves. The energy behind the manifestation is no longer one of need, but one of wholeness. When you are aligned with presence, you move away from the fear-based desires of the ego and into a state of grace where the universe can flow through you. In this flow, the mind, though still human, becomes a vessel through which universal intelligence can operate. It becomes a tool of creation, energized by your inner being and guided by presence. This is not to say that the mind is no longer needed. Rather, it is when the mind is infused with the clarity and stillness of presence that it becomes powerful. You begin to manifest not out of need or greed, but from a place of joy and spontaneity, a state of being where you feel connected to all things and simply wish to express that connection. The Stoic perspective, manifesting from virtue and rationality. When we look at the Stoic philosophy and its teachings on manifestation, we encounter a powerful tradition focused on virtue, self-discipline, and the ability to detach from the chaos of external life. For Stoics, such as Marcus Aurelius, Epictetus, and Seneca, the true measure of success is not in accumulating material wealth or status, but in cultivating an inner life that remains steady regardless of external circumstances. Manifesting desires from a Stoic perspective requires a shift in mindset. The Stoics believed that only two things are truly within our control: our thoughts and our actions. Everything else, from our wealth to our relationships, is beyond our direct influence. So, when we set our sights on manifesting desires, we must first ask ourselves, what do I truly control in this situation? The ego often attempts to manipulate external outcomes, seeking control over people, possessions, and events. Stoicism teaches that this external manipulation is futile and will inevitably lead to disappointment. Instead, manifestation from the Stoic point of view involves focusing on what you can control: your character, your response to adversity, and your commitment to virtue. When you desire something, ask yourself if that desire aligns with your higher purpose. Is it motivated by a genuine desire to serve others, to create, or to contribute to the common good? If so, then the Stoic would encourage you to pursue that desire with courage, perseverance, and resilience. Rather than being attached to the results, Stoics manifest by committing themselves to the process of right action, doing their best without worrying about the outcome. They believe that external success is a byproduct of living virtuously, and that true contentment arises from the virtue of self-control and inner peace. The Stoic lesson is clear. If your desires come from a place of integrity, dedication, and virtue, then manifesting them is an expression of your highest self. Even if the external world does not reflect immediate success, you remain at peace because your internal state is aligned with what is noble and true. Carl Jung and the role of desire in psychological growth. Carl Jung, the great Swiss psychiatrist, introduced the idea of the unconscious mind and the archetypes that guide human behavior. From Jung's perspective, desires are not just whims or fleeting thoughts. They are symbols of deeper unconscious forces that seek to be expressed. When we try to suppress or ignore our desires, we deny a vital part of ourselves and block the natural flow of the psyche. Jung believed that manifestation, or the process of bringing something into reality, is tied to individuation, the process of becoming who you truly are. Your desires, particularly the ones that stir deeply within you, are often reflections of the archetypes within your unconscious that are trying to guide you toward wholeness. However, for these desires to manifest healthily, they must be consciously integrated. The ego, when unchecked, distorts desires and manifests them in unhealthy ways. For example, the desire for power, status, or material wealth can become distorted by the shadow, those parts of the unconscious that we repress. Jung teaches that these distorted desires should not be repressed, but acknowledged and integrated. Only then can you create from a place of wholeness, where your desires serve your higher self and are not just expressions of the ego's craving for validation. Through this process of integration, Jung argues, you become a conscious creator of your life. Conscious manifestation involves understanding and embracing the psychological forces at play within you. By bringing awareness to your desires, you can discern which ones align with your deepest self and which ones arise from your unconscious shadows. Jung's lesson: your desires, when fully understood and integrated, are the keys to your psychological and spiritual growth. Manifestation becomes the act of creating in alignment with your true self, not just satisfying the fleeting whims of the ego. Taoism, the power of Wu Wei and flow. In Taoism, manifestation is viewed not as a forceful act of will, but as an act of harmonizing with the flow of the Tao, the natural order of the universe. Lao Tzu, the author of the Tao Te Ching, emphasized the concept of Wu Wei, which is often translated as non-action or effortless action. From the Taoist perspective, trying to manifest something by forcing it into existence often leads to friction, resistance, and stress. The universe, according to Taoism, already flows in a state of perfect balance, and to manifest is not to push against that flow, but to align with it. To manifest with the Tao is to act in accordance with the natural rhythms of life. When you do so, things flow effortlessly into your life, not because you have forced them, but because you have allowed them to emerge in their own time. Taoism teaches that true manifestation is not driven by desire or attachment, but by allowing desires to arise from the natural flow of the universe. The ego, with its sense of separation and control, attempts to impose its desires on the world. However, the Taoist sage allows their desires to emerge spontaneously, with no attachment to specific outcomes. This is what Lao Tzu calls Wu Wei, action without force. The Taoist lesson: manifestation comes not from striving or forcing, but from aligning with the natural flow of life, letting desires arise, and allowing them to unfold in perfect timing. Desire is immortal, the power to create. One thread that runs through these diverse philosophies is the recognition that desire, in its highest form, is not inherently destructive or selfish. Rather, it is a vital force that drives us toward growth, self-actualization, and creation. As long as desires are aligned with our true self, with presence, and with the greater good, they can fuel the most profound acts of creation. From a Jungian perspective, desire is the manifestation of unconscious archetypes striving for expression. From a Taoist view, desire is part of the natural flow of life. In Stoicism, Desire is a call to act with virtue and wisdom. And from Tolle's viewpoint, when we act from presence, desire becomes a natural expression of our inner peace, not a craving for external fulfillment. Desire, when guided by awareness, becomes the energy that drives us to manifest our highest potential. It is a bridge between the spiritual and the material worlds. As we manifest from presence, our desires are not chained by the ego, but become expressions of our authentic self in perfect alignment with the universe. Avoiding the matrix of distractions. In modern society, we are constantly bombarded with distractions: media, consumerism, social validation, all designed to pull us away from presence and keep us stuck in the ego's endless cycle of craving. These distractions are like the matrix, trapping us in illusions that keep us from our true power. To manifest powerfully, we must avoid these distractions and focus on what truly matters. By doing so, we reclaim our energy from the external world and channel it into purposeful action, creative expression, and inner peace. As the Stoics, Taoists, and Jungian psychologists all agree, true power lies not in the pursuit of superficial goals, but in the alignment with inner truth. The Edison Principle: unwavering belief and persistence. The life of Thomas Edison exemplifies the integration of all these philosophies. Edison faced failure after failure, but he never wavered in his belief that his desire to invent was aligned with a higher purpose. Edison did not just manifest because he wanted fame or wealth, but because he believed deeply that his inventions could serve humanity. His unwavering belief in the power of creation, despite constant setbacks, mirrors the teachings of Tolle, Jung, Taoism, and Stoicism. Edison manifested not through desperate attachment to outcomes, but through unrelenting dedication and a clear vision of what he wanted to bring into the world. True manifestation is about alignment. Ultimately, manifestation is not about blindly chasing desires to fill an emptiness within. It is about understanding that desires are powerful energies that can lead us toward wholeness and self-actualization. True manifestation arises when we align with our inner presence, when we integrate our desires with purpose, and when we act with clarity and discipline. By overcoming the distractions of the ego and the material world, and by embracing a higher, more conscious form of creation, we step into the flow of universal energy. The result is not just success in the worldly sense, but a life lived in harmony, purpose, and joy, a manifestation of our truest potential.